Hey guys, I feel like it's been a while, so I decided to get up off my lazy ass and do another video. So I've partially done another video on this knife, but I thought I would do a video on the actual knife itself. So this is my Crkt endorser. I know in the last video I did with this knife, I felt like I bashed it a little bit, and I feel like that's a little unfair because I really do love this knife. This is one of my all-time favorite EDC knives. I just absolutely love this thing. What originally drew me to it was the layered G10. So you got these reds, greens, a little bit of a blue on here with the blacks in between. And I just thought it was an amazing looking knife. And then the more I played with it, because I've had this thing for about a year, maybe a little longer, I just love it more and more, even though it's tip down carry. And there were some really interesting things about this knife too that just blew my mind in a way that was opposite of what I originally thought. So again, this guy is just like the same length as the cryo, so it's a little on the smaller end, but it's really nice for an everyday size if you're just looking for a utility style knife. One of the other things that really attracted to me was the sweep in the blade and the shape of it. I just love this thing, and it's perfect for me, perfect for what I do, because this thing slices through almost anything like butter. Paracord when I'm doing paracord work, or slicing boxes, or cutting a snack, like food. It just cuts through everything effortlessly because it is such a shallow hollow grind, and such a tall grind also. And it just makes for such a sweet cutting knife. Um this one does have a really petite tip on it. It's been pretty tough. I think I did the pivot test like I did in the last video. If you want proof, maybe I'll upload another one. But one of the things I thought was really cool about this knife, after owning it and using it, is that the jimping in the thumb ramp is actually a part of the handle instead of the blade. So I thought that would, in my mind, I don't know if it's true, but I feel like that would add a little bit to the longevity of the knife, since your pressure is going on the frame rather than on the blade itself. This looks like a finger choil here, but it's really not, unless maybe you get up in there like that. But like I said, if I'm doing high torque stuff, I'm usually getting up here on the blade anyway. I don't know if I've said this in other videos. Probably not, because I haven't done a lot. But especially in a knife, I love G10 because it's not as harsh on the hand as some other stuff with really grippy textures, and this one's got a really fine kind of checkered print on it, but it works really well. The other nice thing about it too is it broke in really nicely. When it was brand new, this was a very grippy, very sharp checker pattern in it, and it's worn in really nicely to where it's still really grippy and it's still really nice, and you get good purchase on it, but it's not as harsh on the hand as it was originally. It's got some pretty aggressive jimping on it. It's really nice. I've never had a thumb slip when using this thing tough. But what I was going to say when I was saying that the thing kind of blew my mind is, if you see the outside of the G10 here, there's a lot of exposed frame. And in heavy use, I thought that would create a lot of hot spots. I thought a lot of that would just really dig in and really just gnaw up the hand. But in my experience, not an issue. Especially the pocket clip, because if you see, it has a little bit of overhang to the frame, and that's a pretty excessive ramp on there. But again, never had an issue. with using this thing, getting through like tons of material. And especially on this side, these scallops here, never had a hot spot, never had an issue with this knife. Even in hard use, using this thing pretty aggressively. Um, and yeah, I just love it. In my hand, it's a perfect EDC. It's the perfect weight. The thing's pretty lightweight. I want to say I paid 40 for this one, which I judged harshly in the other video. But with this one, I get it. You know, with the G10, the layered G10, the sculpting of it, the design of it. It does have a meaty backspacer. The one thing I loved about this that I hadn't seen in a lot of other knives is that the spring is actually an exposed leaf spring. So this guy here between the frame is actually a leaf spring rather than blade. And it pushes right here on that little part of the ting there, and it pushes on that, and that creates the tension for the blade assist. The other thing I really loved about this, and this was the biggest selling point on me, which I thought was the absolute coolest thing in the world when I bought this knife, and still is every assisted knife I've had with a safety, I have never touched the safety. I've never used a safety on a knife, well, with the exception of one knife, and that'll be for another video. But aside from this one knife, I have never used a safety. Again, just because I'm lazy as fuck, and when I need a knife, it's just annoying to pull it out, hit the safety, then use the knife. But then again, also, I've never had a knife open up in my pocket. Hopefully that never happens. Hopefully I just never jinxed it. But something I just thought of, it's silly that this knife has a safety since it's tip down carry. Even if the knife cracked open a little bit in your pocket, since it's tipped down, when you go in, it'd be hard to cut yourself with a tip down carry anyway. So it's kind of silly, Crkt, that you put a safety on a tip down knife. But I guess it's better to be safe than sorry, blah blah blah. But anyway, if you see right here, there's a little gap in the thumb stud, in the tip of the thumb stud, right there on my nail. You see that? And if you hear the clicking, I don't know if you can pick that up, it's actually a button. And if you look there next to the blade, you can see the lock bar moving. On the lock bar has a detent also that's actually holding the blade in place when the blade is closed. So it is locked. So you're probably guessing, if you didn't watch my video, Davis, how the fuck do you get that knife open? Well, that's what this button here on the thumb stud is. You push that guy in, pop it out, flies right open. And I thought that was such an ingenious way to put a safety on an assisted knife. Now, Crkt, I would love this. I would think it'd be cool as shit. And I would tell more of my friends to buy more of your knives and more of this and that if you would put this safety on a tip-up carry. I feel like it would make more sense if you put it in this way and people are worried about their knives opening in a scissor type function when you're going in the pocket and you don't want to fuck your hand up. I feel like this safety would be more useful if you had a tip-up carry, not so much a tip-down. And because, you know, like I said, if you're only touching this much of the knife and the blade's open, the only worry you have is poking your leg, which I guess is still an issue. But I feel like this is something you want to keep pretty safe, and you don't want to hurt this because you do a lot of things with these. It's my hand if you don't know. But anyway, so yeah, if I would think the it would make a lot more sense if this was, or not this specific knife, but if you would put the safety on tip up carry, that would be amazing. Because it's a really cool innovation. I like it. I bought the knife because I thought the lock was cool. And it's a handsome knife. I like the all black. I like the G10. They put the black pocket clip on there. I mean, I guess the only other gripe I could have is the lockup. The lockup is a little past 50%. It's not exactly touching the other side of the frame, but it's a little further than I would like for the longevity of the knife. But again, I was just like, I don't know if this would have a big factor in lock bar wear, but I really like that the thumb ramp is on the frame of the knife. And if I didn't mention it before, this is the endorser by Crkt. Yeah, I love it. The way it sits in the pocket is really nicely. The thinness of it, the sleekness of it really adds to the ease of carry, because again, this knife isn't taking up a whole lot of room. So if I have to reach in my utility pocket, which is the front right pocket, to grab my flashlight, to grab my space pen or my wallet, excuse me, my pry bar, or just the random shit I keep in my pockets for everyday use, it's sometimes nicer to have a knife with a smaller imprint on my pocket so I can easily get in and out of the pocket. But yeah, so that's been my look at the Crkt. Some things I love about it, some things I don't love about it. But like I said, the last video I did on that this knife made a sneak peek in, I felt like I judged it a little too harshly, especially for my actual thoughts on the knife itself. The original idea of the original video wasn't so much to bash this knife, but to point out the differences in material and cost. But maybe eventually I'll do another video specifically on the Kershaw Chill also, because I really love that knife. I've had that thing for fucking ever also. And if you can't tell, I'm a really big fan of a drop point or a clip point. Those are my favorite knives with the belly. It depends on the knife, if I like them to be like super heavy duty or if I just need a sleek, lightweight knife. It just really depends on what catches my eye that day. Like, before I started this channel and I started carrying knives for my overlooks and to talk about the knives and why I do and don't like them, I used to just grab what caught my eye. And I was just like, ooh, I haven't carried that in a while. I want to carry that one. That one looks fucking awesome today. And this is one that definitely catches a lot of attention, definitely catches a lot of looks, gets a lot of questions. And it should. It's an awesome knife. So yeah, I hope you excuse my Debbie Downness on the last video of this knife. But yeah, this has been my look at the Crkt endorser, one of my absolute favorite everyday carries. Alright, so signing out again. Get out of your box, try something new, get some experiences, enjoy life. I hope you had an amazing weekend. I hope you're starting an amazing week. It's Monday morning here. So yeah, enjoy the day. Davis signing out.